Welcome to Business Model Hackers. This is a podcast where we're going to decode strategies and tools for successful business management. Now, Sam Schreim left the lucrative career to pursue entrepreneurship, and part of that process is the show you're listening to today. We're going to be diving into digital innovation in this episode and essentially how that's reshaping how businesses operate in our evolving world today. Now, Sam has advised executives from Fortune 500 companies to startups, entrepreneurs, working with large and medium-sized organizations, advising governments and nonprofits on matter of strategy and general management. All right, let's hack into today's topic. Sam, how you doing?
Good, Philip. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm actually really excited. I think that the listener is in for a treat like none other because right now, more than ever, digital innovation is actually truly relevant to everyone's scope of work. I got to be curious. How do you see digital innovation reshaping traditional business models today?
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting because right now there's a lot of talk about AI. AI has been like taking the forefront in every discussion, every YouTube video you open up, every podcast, a lot of people talking about AI. But I think the problem what happened in the past year or so is that they're not really talking about real application of the real power of AI and how it's really going to be transforming businesses. And the main way this is going to be happening over where I see this heading over the next few years is that it's going to transform the way companies innovate, the way companies introduce their product. It actually has implications both internal businesses and organizations, but also external. So if you think about internal being the organization itself and the operations of a business, so you have that aspect of digital innovation, and you also got the innovation on the product side or the service side that you offer your customers or your revenue generating side of things, which we call external. The idea is that AI is going to have impact on both. The main discussion has been around very simple, some stuff you see around imaging, a lot of talks about copywriting and how you train LLMs and all of the stuff, which really isn't the core of where we're heading and how this is going to transform businesses and organizations. So I think that in the coming year, we're going to see some companies that are going to be able to leverage the digital transformation. Primarily, I would say, the AI side of things, those are the companies that are going to be winners and are going to be ahead of the game. Whereas companies that would be doing business as usual or watching or taking a back seat and seeing where this is going to head, those are going to be mostly the losing organization where they're going to be starting to play catch up in the years to come. I think every company should get on the bandwagon and start looking into, how they can change whatever they're doing today or how they can implement digital innovation into their businesses now before later, before it's too late. Take kind of a first mover into this. And primarily in areas where really some of it may be innovation, but others may be traditional. Process automation is an example. A lot of companies are doing that also in enhancing the workers' productivity. So all these things should be looked at in a very serious manner. This is why this topic should be at the forefront of every strategy and every annual review or a quarterly review of any companies, whatever it is. Companies, organizations, by the way, also. So it's not just corporations, also government. So any organizations that function in a way to produce or to provide a service, such as governments or nonprofits, they all stand to benefit and they all stand to lose if they don't do anything.
Any business should be excited about the prospect of creating new opportunities or profit centers, or as you dub them, optionalities. And that whole process seems like it should be a default in running a business. And yet there's a lot of resistance. In your experience, what kinds of things have you heard or seen in terms of resistance to creating these innovations and lining them up in a pipeline, if you will? And how should people change their perspective on that when they are the ones who hold the resistance in their businesses?
Resistance to change and resistance to adapt. This is a topic that I've dealt with throughout my career because as a strategy consultant, when we are retained as strategy consultants, when I was back in my early days working for McKinsey or later on when I spun off and started working under Business Model Hackers, you are always called in because there's sort of a problem, right? I mean, we're never retained for the sake of come check it out. We don't know if we have an issue. There's always something that triggers how we are hired.
It seems to me that anyone running a business would want to create optionalities and to diversify their opportunities for collecting more and more capital and increasing the longevity of their business. And yet, I imagine in your experience, you've come across many a company that still offers resistance, no matter what it is. That even if they bring you on and they know they have a problem, there's resistance to the consultations or even listening to this, knowing they need to do this and still resisting it. How have you overcome that in your experience so far? And what are some things that they need to really take into consideration and shift in their perspective in order to appreciate exactly how important this is?
This is what you really need to know about digital innovation when it comes to looking at your business. Internally, you would probably not have to innovate. You probably need to look for service providers, softwares that you can implement in your internal organization to streamline and automate some of the processes you have. You definitely need to do that, but that is a minor improvement in comparison to what you can do externally. Externally, you need to innovate. And innovating lies that you need to incorporate the revolution that's happening today, starting with AI and the innovation that happened recently with the large LLM models. Incorporate that into your products and services in order to increase your experimentation or your optionality of the business. And then don't be afraid to innovate because what you're innovating may cannibalize some of your existing business. By the way, if you are not innovating, somebody else will. So if you're not cannibalizing your own business and there is something that could cannibalize your business, so you should be even more wary of this and go ahead and implement it before somebody else does and be ahead of the game on that. I hope this sums it up in terms of actions that you can take right now, strategically or top down looking at what's happening.
Yeah, for me, I think this has been a thorough discussion on getting people to begin to think about how important this is to the overall strategy of the life of their business, which is ultimately how we want people to view what the show is trying to encourage you to do. I'm very grateful that you broke it down and you took the time to tackle digital innovation, and in particular, what's happening with large language models at the same time. Great. Well, that about does it for our discussion today. Please be sure to check out businessmodelhackers.com for up-to-date information on this podcast. Our social channel information will also be there across all channels. Sam's books, if you're looking into them. And also, if you subscribe to our email list at businessmodelhackers.com, we'll be sharing with you downloadable resources that include far more detailed information in regards to all the tools and trends we discuss on the show and a whole lot more. So join us, and thank you for stopping by.